Good evening, everyone. Michael here, and welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, the 18th of March, 2024. I hope you're all doing well and safe, wherever you may be around the world. I am going to take a little bit of time and wrap up the 172 Rebuild series. I know that it's been a while since we did part 15. And in part 15 we discussed and installed the pilot and co-pilot headset jacks, and finished up some interior trim work. So I'm going to take a little bit of time and discuss the exterior panel material and construction, along with just some generic handles to open the doors from the outside. Now, I went ahead and completed this work. I was dealing with a family death this past week and a half, and so I just had some time. But I went ahead and completed this work, but I do want to take some time and discuss it and kind of show you what all was involved. I will start by again saying thank you for coming in for a bit this evening. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the material that I'm using to construct the exterior shell, the skin of our aircraft. And that is it's just a plastic interior wall panel that I picked up at Menards, one of the local hardware stores around here. It is a 4 foot by 8 feet sheet, so you do get a good quantity of it in that sheet. And while it is flexible, it's not really what I would call bendable. This is a small portion of that same material, and while I can roll it up, and this is actually a bit of a remnant, I can roll it up. You can't really fold it. If you fold it, you're going to put some significant creases in the material. But you can roll it to transport it if you need to. I was able to get that 4 by 8 foot sheet in my 4-door sedan SUV thing. But they do roll up pretty small. As long as you got a 4 foot length of something, you would be able to transport one of these sheets relatively easily. But the reason why I mentioned the fact that it's not really bendable is I'll take you around here and to show you. So when we did our windows and we came up with our monitor holder here, that's not flush with our door panel. So the problem came into play with trying to mount this door skin on here and keep it flat. So what I ended up doing is I simply measured the profile. Essentially, I'm measuring this profile here, and I'm coming down to this protrusion, and I'm measuring down to where it starts to be even with my door frame again. And I essentially just cut that section out. I cut that section out, and that allowed me to screw the material to the door frame. Now I went ahead and done this on both sides, and what I've done is I've extended the material past my door frame so that it overlaps the jamb. Just helps with some ambient light blockage, because when we close our door here, okay, it just helps keep some light out of what you would, that door seam that you might see there. And I did that all the way around. On the top, I came up, the entire width, that entire door frame. And that's just to help cover some of the vinyl material, that we would see. That's kind of exposed there. But it was simply a matter of me, and I repurposed these panels from the old unit, so they're not entirely flat, and they do have some extra holes in it. If you had some new sheets, they would probably screw on here a bit flatter. I tried to kind of form it to the displays on the previous model, and it just kind of took this bubbly shape. I'm alright with it, The other thing that I needed to do was remove our interior door handle. And then we drilled that hole. We continued all the way through after we screwed our panel on to the outside, and then we simply re-secured our door handle. I wanted to do it in that fashion because trying to measure with our overhang that we have here, just trying to measure everything to find where to drill this hole would have been kind of tedious. I found it easier to remove the handle, screw the panel to the door frame, and then drill the hole. And you'll know that the hole is where you're going to need it to be. I'm utilizing the same 3/4 inch panhead screws that we've been using through this whole project. I use these same screws for this door panel here. And again, it's just going all the way around right into our door frame. I just eyeballed it, so they're probably not even across here. They might be close. You could probably use a leveling square and make a straight line and do it that way. These grab handles here, these are just generic pull handles from the hardware store. And if you followed along with the build series already, you'll know that we have a 2x4 panel that's on the interior here that our interior handle is being attached to. So we're utilizing that same, I'm not going to get a good shot of it. We're utilizing that same 2x4, which is kind of running like this, and then kind of up like this. We're utilizing that same 2x4 for our grab handle. It's got some, it's a thicker piece of wood. It's going to handle that stress a bit better than if we were to try and use maybe, one of these 1.5 inch boards. I haven't decided yet. I probably will, but I haven't decided yet if I'm going to finish the rear section here with the panel. Because we have, if we look this way, it's not necessarily even. Because we had to extend and widen our rear display, how we mount our rear display. So while we're flush, and we can be flush with our door panel, if we were to go here, it would kind of come out at an angle, which I suppose wouldn't be awful, but we'd have to, in order for it to look right, we'd have to kind of bring it down, extend this piece of wood down. The other option would be to completely, remove the rear display and then unscrew this piece of wood and then shove, shove your panel onto this section here, which would keep it flush with this section here. So there are options to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to go about that, but if you wanted to do such a thing, I'm sure you could. And we've done it to both sides. Once I had the one side cut out, it's just a matter of laying it on top of the other one and cutting out the other side. Just measure the one side, get it cut out, and you can trace it on the other side, because if everything is correct, it's going to be a mirror image. As long as you've gotten all your measurements correct and got all your cuts correct, if you've done everything symmetrically, then creating a mirror image for your door panel would work out just fine, because everything is symmetrical. Let's take a quick step into the inside of the plane, and I'll meet you in there in just a second. Alright, hello again, everyone. Here we are sitting inside of Felicity in sort of a cold and dark state. We're not even, this is essentially her desktop. And while we're sitting in here, just to point out, this, we'll look over here, this blue circle looking thing is a magnetic phone charger. When I'm streaming, and which I do, obviously. Hi. um, it's this is how I monitor the chat and how I interact with you and see how what you're saying. I use it through my mobile device here, and previously it's always just kind of drained the battery out, and it was in one of those squeezy cradle type holders, and it did the job, but with technology and as cheap as things have become, when I started looking at these magnetic chargers, I was able to get one for less than $20, and it plugs right into a USB thing, so it holds the phone, but B, it also charges it while it's holding the phone. So I think that's just absolutely tickles me pink that I'm able to do that now. So that's what that is. In the future, there may be a time when I put some additional grab assist handles in here, and they'd be kind of
right here, kind of above, you know, almost exactly where the previous ones were. Uh, I think it'll help complement the door handle, um, but honestly, the real reason is I can still see the indentations here in my door panel from where these were here. So I think I'm just going to get another set for here and screw them in. And then that'll fix my OCD by filling in these holes and covering up these indentations. But B, it will just kind of give a little bit of different options. If you're a little bit shorter and you scoot the seat up, it'll just kind of give another option to help kind of close this door panel. Um, but if you've followed along through this whole series and you've essentially watched a full-scale 172 come together. So let's go ahead and head back to the hangar, and let's just go ahead and kind of go over everything that we've done, and I'll see you there in just a second.
Alright. Again, I do want to thank you all for being part of this rebuild process with me. Again, nothing is ever scripted, nothing is ever mapped out, played out. Everything happens live. I never do any editing. I don't have any time for that. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, wondering why you are watching 3, 4, 5 hour long videos, that is why. So all of that being said, let's go ahead and give this a quick and brief recap, starting with part 1, where discussed the front display. We built the subfloor, the rolling subfloor, and installed the rudder pedals and carpet, utilizing measurements taken from my local 172 Foxtrot. And in part 2, we built the yoke support mount. The stand that the yokes actually sit on. It's kind of the hub of all the hardware there. We built that and got that installed along with the panel support and started cutting out the A-pillar assemblies. Moving along into part 3, we finished up our A-pillars and started framing out our doors and our windows. Remember, we've integrated our door or our window into the door on both sides, so those displays, they open up with the doors on the left and the right hand side there. Part 5 was a lot of work on the instrument panel, avionics, and glove box installation. Part 6, we went out into the shop and did some welding and built the seat frame and seat base, and discussed a bit about the pedestal and how we were going to accommodate that. In part 7, we installed the seat belts into our newly built seat base, and then we assembled our pedestal and did a little bit of discussion about the pilot co-pilot intercom and how we were going to incorporate that intercom but not necessarily have it in the cockpit. Part 8 was a lot of regression and redesign. That's when I realized that, because the physical panel is 2 inches higher that needed to raise my view 2 inches higher, so I needed to raise everything 2 inches higher. So we kind of had to take a step backward and add some height to our overall cockpit frame to accommodate for that 2-inch panel, because remember we wanted to put ourselves inside of that model, so that's what we needed to do to be able to do that. In part 9, we actually did some more work on getting the doors and windows and sides raised. So that was kind of like we started on part 8 and had to kind of finish it up in part 9. Part 10, we did the interior panels for the rooftop and the pilot door. And what else did we do in part 10? We did the seat and butt kicker installation. And that's what I use to feel the flight. You know, those butt kickers really make it nice to kind of feel your stalls, any sort of feedback you might feel. It does kind of output it in a way. It may not be exact, but like the wind resistance against the flaps and things like that. You can kind of feel all of that through vibrations that it puts out. It is really kind of a neat bit of technology there. Part 11 was more interior door panel work, the rear interior panels, and some cabin lighting. And then part 12, we moved along with the co-pilot interior door panel, some more work on the rear panels, and then discussing and installing the angle of attack indicator. Part 13, the 650 showed up, so we needed to install a new video card for that, so we installed a GT 1030 to drive that new GTN 650, and then did a little bit of discussion about the type of displays and TVs that I actually use, and did a little bit of calibration with those displays to kind of make X-Plane look good. In part 14, we installed the panel lighting, did some more interior trim work, and then installed the air vent and blower, which provides our fresh air while we're up there flying. And then part 15 was the most recent one, where we installed the headset jacks and discussed a little bit about some interior touches and things like that. And that brings us to today. So I think that's it for the rebuild series, honestly. So I do again want to thank you all for coming in and being a part of that rebuild series. And if you've missed any of it, it is all on the YouTube channel. I haven't put it in its own playlist yet, but they are all going to be on the YouTube channel. I know that 1 through 15 are there now currently. I have to wait a certain amount of time to send them over to YouTube from Twitch as part of the affiliate agreement deal. But yeah, so I think that's it. We're going to transition into doing a little bit of flying. However, I do need to kind of bring this stream to a close so that I can kind of keep this separate and kind of terminate it here. So I'm not going to raid anybody because I am going to be right back. If you do want to do a little bit of flying, tentative flight plans to trying to fly into Telluride, Kilo Tango Echo X-Ray this evening to try and make up the Virtual USA Flying Club. Flew there over the weekend, which unfortunately I wasn't able to attend. But it did look like a very fun strip to try and fly into, so I think we're going to try that this evening utilizing the 172 Hawk. So, that being said, again, I do want to thank you all for coming in. My name is Michael, and I look forward to flying with you aboard Felicity, a Cessna flight training device that we built right here at home. You all take care and stay safe, and we'll see you later.